Hello, everyone. You're here with me, Juliette Bryant, on Wise Women Weekdays. And I'm here with the amazing Kate Bristow, who is really quite a freaking powerhouse of a woman. I have to say, you are like, you move stuff so much. So we're sat currently at the Missing Sock, which is an incredible venue. And Kate is heading up a project which I think is going to be a game changer when it comes to health and well-being. That's not what we're actually talking about today, but we're going to introduce and start with this. So Kate, do you want to just say a little bit about what you're creating here?
Yes, so we, as Juliette said, we're at the Missing Sock today, which is an amazing venue on Newmarket Road in Cambridge. So Missing Sock has a real history of our founder, Hugh, where lots of wonderful well-being events and weddings and parties. Hugh was over in South Africa for 3 years. He's come back, and it's really now our passion, I think, as we've come as a collective, there's such a need for wellbeing hubs. We'll still put on our lovely events here, so we'll have lovely events here to support what we're doing, building a community in the daytime, but you know, to really have this as a hub for the community, whether that be young people, elderly, working space hub, wellbeing days, retreats, corporate days. We're going to be doing everything.
So Kate also has headed up the relaunch of Kinder Sound Radio, of which I'm a presenter and have been for the last 3 years. And so this is going to be the base of Kinder Sound Radio. Yeah. So we can grow that.
Our studio here.
Exactly, and grow the youth programs we're creating, Seat to Play. But we've got amazing stuff happening. So watch this space.
Yes.
And do check out kindersound.org for some incredible content on there. But today we're talking menopause, perimenopause, you know, that amazing journey.
Thank God I'm through it.
Are you through the other side now?
I'm through the other side now.
Wow. What was your experience of that journey?
Oh, it was life-changing. It was very scary. I didn't actually know who I was for a long time. I lost myself massively for a long time. I was actually saying to someone earlier on today, we was discussing it, and I said, I can remember looking in the mirror and thinking, who am I?
Yeah.
Where's that tenacious, sassy girl gone?
Yeah. With
all, you know, that ballsy fire and front, and it was like, who am I? I didn't even know who I was, you know, it wasn't pleasant. And because I'd done it very naturally as well, which was great, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. But boy, did that come with, you know, there were certain things I just had to cut out, because if I had a coffee, my God, my whole body, I would be sweating profusely. Like,
can I ask you how old you are, if you don't mind me?
I'm 51.
Okay, 51. So I'm 45, and I've just started this journey.
So I started at that age. I was quite young when I started, and I didn't realise I was actually in it at the time.
Yeah. So I think I started it slowly. So it was interesting, when I was 36, we were in India and I got my bloods done, and they said, oh, you're in perimenopause. And I was like, nah, now I'm 36. I'm not giving up. Yeah. I'm not doing that. So I revamped my diet, added in lots of supplements and herbs and maca and stuff like this. And then at 39 had my third child. So I'd kind of reversed it. But then I think after I'd finished breastfeeding, it was such hard work. It was really hard, that kind of energy. And I think really that was the start of my body beginning to change.
It's another awakening. That's what it is. It's another, to me, it was like almost having another spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Because your body is like, what is going on? Like,
and I think what you said was really interesting when you said, you know, it was, you had to find yourself. And I think part of it is we lose ourselves as a mum, as parents. We lose our identity because we get stuck into these roles of wife, parent, you know, business person, all of this. And I think the menopause, whether it's perimenopause or, you know, the whole journey, throws you into this space of reevaluation.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, at the time I was going through it, I was getting divorced. My dad was dying. We was moving house. I had issues, you know, certain things going on with my children. One of my best friends died. My uncle died. So it was like, and then you've got the menopause as well. And it's like, oh my God, how do you just,
Navigate it.
yeah. And it's brain just can't take that. Brain fog is real.
Yeah.
It's really real,
Yeah.
you know, they're not sleeping, the hot sweats. It was just,
And how long would you say, you know, from the kind of beginning to the end of that journey, did it take you?
I would say, yeah, I mean, I didn't, it started probably when I was around 44,
Yeah.
probably similar age to you. And I reckon by sort of 49, I was, yeah, 48, 49, I was 48. I guess I was coming out of it 49. Now it's great because I'm like, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
It's just, I've got me back.
Yeah.
I've got to know me. It's almost like you have to literally get to know yourself. I can remember my body shape changing completely. Like I couldn't, I put on this weight, especially excess weight around my stomach. And I was like, it didn't matter what I did, and I eat really healthily and I exercise regularly, just wouldn't go. Like,
and that's linked to the cortisol. You know, I've been researching a lot, and for women, you know, cortisol is our stress hormone, and what happens on a kind of physiological level is that progesterone is the cortisol blocker.
Yeah.
So it actually blocks cortisol from taking over your whole body. But what happens in the menopause and perimenopause is that the progesterone drops, so you don't have the cortisol blocker. And that's where the hotness comes from. That's where, because you can't cope. Suddenly you get this overwhelming anxiety and these things that you've never struggled with. I was never an anxious person. Suddenly it's like, where's this anxiety coming from?
There was days I could literally scratch my skin because I was just so anxious and I just didn't feel right. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, it was horrible. I just spend days crying. My hair, it fell out, like literally. And I've got thick, I'm known for, it's like a lion's mane, my hair now, but my God, it fell out. It was so thin, it was brittle, and it was almost like the supplements I take in, I wasn't absorbing them. My body just wasn't absorbing anything. So
I think part of it is, well, we have to go through like a grieving of the youth that we, you know, it's like, I looked in the mirror the other day and I was like, you're not 27 anymore. You're not even in your early 30s.
No.
And it's like that thing, isn't it, of living in a whole different way because we may have like relied on certain strengths when we were younger. And then you don't have those.
No. So and you lose, you know, for me, I really lost a lot of my confidence, and I've always been a very confident. Now it's back in full force, but I lost a lot of confidence in that time. So it was very, very it wasn't a period that I would ever really like to revisit in my life, and that's why I've got so much. I think it's so needed, the support and empathy for women going through it, because do people really highlight how much that the suicide rates are up, you know, women going through the menopause and things like that, and what it does to our mental health, you know, how it affects us, and sometimes people don't necessarily recover from that. You know, I'm very blessed. I've got a beautiful array of people around me that I know I can of alternative therapies. Not everybody has the beauty of that, having that accessible.
And I think also a big part of the problem is the education around it. There isn't that education for alternatives. You know, you go to the doctor and they'll stick you on HRT, which may be important for some people, you know, if that's what you need to get through it. But I had no idea. My mum died at 49, so she died as she was going through it, but she was really ill. So I've never experienced someone going through the menopause. I had no clue that it would knock your socks off and make you just be a different person. No one told me that.
And you know, I can remember my kids saying, "Mum, you're so short-tempered, you're so grumpy." You know, I could fly off the handle, you know, at different things, and you look and you think afterwards, you think, "Oh my God, what am I doing? Like, who is this?" it was
So what helped get you through it?
I, honestly, I think I was very lucky. I took a lot of homeopathic stuff.
Yeah.
My friend Joe and my other friend Jacqueline have got the bioresonance
Yeah.
machine, so I went on those. What got me through it? I think I just got myself through it.
Yeah.
I kind
Determination.
of, it was determination, and I kind of had to navigate my own way through it because, as I said, I didn't know I was actually going through it until
Yeah.
I was in the thick of it, and because I had so much going on personally.
Yeah. It's hard to know then what's...
How do you know if
Yeah.
that's that stress that you're feeling,
Yeah.
or is that your menopause, or where do you identify it? Who am I today? What head have I got on today?
Or from minute to minute, what heads have I
that's
got on?
right. So
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean now I'm far more educated on it, you know, but I wasn't back then. I really wasn't, and because I had, you know, and from that I got osteoporosis.
Did you?
Yes. So that's another interesting thing. So because I was, my exercises that I was doing, and I'd done a lot of high impact stuff,
Yeah.
it wasn't until I broke my ankle, which was last year, I went for a bone density scan, and it came out that I had I mean, it's I'm great, you know.
Yeah.
I'm building up now, so thanks to obviously all your lovely supplements that I take and some other bits, but yeah, I mean, so that came from that.
Yeah.
You know, are we educated about, okay, exercising around that time?
Yeah.
What sort of exercising is right for a woman when you're going through that, and how to really ensure that your bones are strong and you're building on them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we
We're
don't
not
have
told
any of this.
that.
No, we're just told to take calcium supplements. And actually, from my research, calcium supplements can be, unless there's one or two that are okay, most of them are really dodgy because your body can't process that calcium in the form it's in, and it causes calcification.
It wasn't until I came to you and said to you, Juliette, I've got this, and you told me all that, was when obviously I realised, but that was afterwards. But so that was another thing. But then my bones were obviously very, very weakened from that.
And that's where the increase in vitamin D is so important, and magnesium, because these help your body naturally produce calcium. But it's, you know, I think one of the things that, you know, and it shows the kind of equality side of things. I think it's like the menopause is another part of the suppression of the feminine side, because it's like femininity, periods aren't really talked about, haven't been talked about, menopause isn't talked about, you know, birth isn't really talked about.
God,
you know, women's health is not really highlighted in society. It's like it's all shoved under the carpet, it's all pushed aside. And more people get divorced in the menopause because I think men don't know how to cope with women going through it, because they do change.
Well, I think also your brain, you're thinking very irrationally. It's a lot of irrational thinking, and things are really heightened. And on reflection, you look back and you reflect and you think about things. So I don't think it's a time in your life where it's a time to make big decisions. That's my personal experience. Big decision.
Pause those big decisions. Although for some people the menopause can last 10 years.
Yeah, of course it can. Exactly. That's
so
what I'm
it's
saying.
like, Jesus Christ, you put everything on hold.
No, that's right. But
and sometimes maybe it's highlighting
for a reason.
Because things have to shift.
That's right.
You know, but there's the balance within it all. I think it's finding that balance and finding that inner peace through the storm, because it is like a storm.
It was like a tornado.
I did something recently, and I was writing about the kind of perimenopause and menopause, and I called it honoring the changing landscape, because it's like, you know, we don't have in society these points where we honor our transitions. It's like, how many of us had a ceremony when we started our bleed? How many of us had a ceremony after we gave birth? You know, how many for us, not for the child? You know, how many of us have a ceremony when we're honoring that change and the loss of the bleed? Because it's, you know, you're ending a phase of your life, and you may be really grateful to be ending it because in a way you don't want to have any more kids,
No,
but it's
yeah.
also a
Of
loss.
course
It's
it is.
like,
It's a whole change because it's a new chapter.
yeah,
And it's a big new chapter.
yeah. I mean, one of the things I do with my bleed is I use washable pants and pads and
Yeah.
things like that. So I save my menstrual blood and I use it to water all my plants in
I've
my
seen that,
house
yes.
and outside in the garden. And part of me is like, oh my God, when I stop my bleed,
Yeah.
how am I going to feed my
Yeah.
plants? but for me, that feeding of the plants was a part of me because I didn't have a great relationship with my period when it first started. And, I had a lot of pain. I used to have severe endometriosis. I wasn't the closest to my cycle. And through having children and through my kind of spiritual awakenings, I started running women's circles, and I've been doing them for over 12 years, holding that space for my sanity as a
Yeah.
large part,
I
because I
think
was
you
like,
need,
I
yeah.
need support.
Yeah.
But one of the things I did to start enjoying my bleed was having I can use that blood
Yeah.
to feed my plants, and
Yeah.
it changed my appreciation for
Yeah,
it.
that's right. Yeah. Instead of thinking, oh God.
It's like, gosh,
Yeah.
because most people are like, oh God, it's my bleed.
Yeah.
And there's that lower vibration that comes with it. Instead of like, great, it's a time when I can go inside and I can rest more and I can recharge.
Yeah.
So we have these, and then I think the menopause is like, well, a lot of women also have discomfort sexually then because their vagina thins, the wall of their
Yeah.
vagina thins, they have less
Libido.
exactly,
Yeah.
and less what's the word I'm looking for, lubrication. So
Yeah.
it becomes more painful having
Yeah.
sex. So
Yeah.
all these things kind of play in, and then it becomes this very negative
Yeah.
event.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also, I think, how at that time you feel about your body as a woman. Is there an element of sort of body?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shame, how you feel because you're not comfortable in. Some people might not be comfortable. Everything changes, but
Yeah.
if you've got the right support, the right supplements,
Yeah.
you can come out the other side. And
With your body image, how did you feel it changed? What other than having weight that you couldn't lose, what else did you feel was going on?
yeah, I just think the whole weight thing, my body shape changed. It completely changed. I'd go to places and I would just have this. It would just be like it was the flush of like sweats, and I just didn't. I just didn't feel myself. It was almost. It was like an out of body experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only did I not know myself, but I didn't feel like I looked like myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're like, well, is that ever going to come back, or have I lost that?
Yeah.
And has that gone completely? Do you know what I mean? So it is. You're totally right what you're saying, Julie. It is a whole grieving process.
And it's, I was out the other day and I go to this beautiful thing. It's in Cambridge. It's this dance thing, and it's no alcohol. And I was looking around though, and it was quite sobering. There was this moment of like, Jesus Christ, you're old, that hit me. And I know I'm not old, but we have these thoughts and these feelings. And I was watching, there were a few guys there. There's not a lot of guys that go, it's 5 or 6, and there's about 60 women. And ranging from like early 20s to like late 60s. So it's a wide range of people. And the person that runs it is in her late 40s. And she's brilliant. But I was looking around, and the guys all gravitate, older guys all gravitate to the younger women.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I had this moment. I'm happily married, so I'm not looking for that. But I looked around and I thought, that used to be me that had all the men gravitating to me. And now I'm one of the old ones. Oh my God. And I looked in the mirror afterwards and I was like, oh, and it was grieving that person.
Well, because I think you still, for me, and I think you're the same, I still feel like I'm in my, now I'm back, I'm like, my energy, how I think now, I think, I've still got so much going me.
Yeah.
But I lost that for a while, but I've got that back, and it's like, you forget.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing.
No, I think it's learning though also how to relate to the world in a different way. And I think that's what I feel I'm going through. I'm not that kind of yes, I'm still very sexual, but I'm not that sexual kind of
No.
young, flirty
Yeah, that's
person.
right. Yeah.
I'm a 45-year-old with 3
No.
children, and one of them's an adult.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
know.
I mean, that's part of that transition of like,
Yeah, it is.
I've got an adult as a child.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know.
how?
Yeah, I know.
And going through that process, I think, it is rediscovering, okay, well, I can't relate to people in that same way.
No.
So how do I relate to people?
Yeah,
And
that's
what
right.
are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? And,
Yeah,
who do I actually want to be in this moment?
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's but it's a time, and I think I can remember sitting there thinking, am I ever gonna come out of this?
Yeah.
Is this, you question where you, well, I did. I questioned massively where have I, because definitely that I had a breakdown for sure. And I know a lot of my friends now who have gone through it have said the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I definitely had a breakdown with it. Don't get me wrong, it was a lot of stress going on in my life at the time, but that really, a lot of that constituted what was going on with my menopause, with my mental health. And that's what I'm saying, the irrational thinking, the overthinking, all of those things. And it takes time for your body to get back in. And
Yeah. Well, I read something yesterday that said it takes 8 years after you give birth for your body to return to where it was pre-birth, not just weight-wise, but hormonally, nutritionally, energy-wise. 8 years.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
And I thought, that's mental. I mean, I've got a 6-year-old, so I'm still in that.
Yeah.
But how many women even know that? And yet you feel people are expected 6 to 8 weeks. In America, after 2 weeks in some jobs, you have to go back to work.
I went back to work when I had my son. I went back to work because I had my own business at the time. I went back after 6 weeks, and I still had, and when I had a very, very difficult birth with him. So I still had stitches in.
Wow.
I didn't go back full time because it was my own business, and in the end, I ended up getting Epstein-Barr virus.
Yeah, because you're just pushing yourself too much. Yeah,
I'm just pushing myself too much.
Yeah. But we're programmed in society to do that. It's like I think,
and it was horrible. It was just
But society's so driven by the male concepts of things. Not to knock men; they're amazing, but men have ruled and governed our world in the more recent times for a long time and set the precedences. And we as women trying to, in the 80s, it was like equality. We have to be more than a man. And it's like we've neglected the fact that we're women and we actually go through these processes of giving birth.
Oh my God.
Of having a period every month.
Women, what our body produces is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like incredible.
And we don't honour it.
We don't. And that's what you're so right. It's only now, I've got to my age now, and for all the work I've done, that I think, wow, this is, you start to honour yourself as a woman and the work you do and how you treat your body. But when I was younger, I didn't. It was just like a machine.
But that's where I think we need this education to come in from a young point, where we educate people in the menstrual cycles, where we educate people in what menopause could potentially be like. It might not be, but in the potential changes, so that we can be supported, so we can have the nutrition in place, because there's loads of things we can do to support it. Doesn't mean you're not going to experience it. It's like my medicinal mushrooms, thank God for lion's mane for my brain, and taking the All You Need, upping my vitamin D, all these things to support me.
But I didn't have all that.
No.
So
no.
And that really affects. So if you haven't and you're trying to do it naturally, it was like.
Yeah. And it's also, the thing is, there's let's say there's 20 different herbs out there that can help, the hormones. We're all so different. So what we need is different. So one person might say, well, I've tried that and it didn't work, so I have to go on to HRT. And it's like, but there's all these other things. So it's like tuning into the body. And if you need to go down that route of HRT, then great. But I think what we don't express is the options that are there.
Well, no, it's the easy option, isn't it? And we don't look to explore what all those options are.
and also what the gift is being presented to us in
Yeah.
the changing landscape.
That's right.
Because there's always a gift
Yeah.
in that transformation.
Yeah. Oh my God, 100%. And yes, it wasn't a nice time that I went through. However, would I change it? No, because it transformed me into where I am now, and I'm living my best life. So,
And you are a firecracker. I mean, seriously, this woman moves freaking mountains.
you're not
I
bad
mean,
to self-love.
like, but you move mountains. I've been talking to you about I've been talking to loads of people about you, and I just think this woman can move mountains. And I
I'm
think
trying.
that you're doing well.
But you know what? It's team effort. To be
Yeah.
fair, it is team effort, and I wouldn't be able to do it without all of us as a community doing it. It just wouldn't happen. So,
But you've got the drive and the persistence. But it's interesting. You said you lost that drive and that,
God,
like,
I lost it completely.
yeah,
And it was even just down to my work and what I was doing. I was like a nomad,
yeah,
and that's the only way I can explain it.
yeah.
It just wasn't my path. I went off, detoured on so many different things, but that's where I
But
am
it's
now.
brought you back where you are even
and
stronger.
I'm supposed to be here now, so
Exactly.
doing what we're doing. So
It's great. I think, one of the things that I've really found on the journey that I'm going on with it, and obviously I'm a few years behind you on it. And that's the thing, though, also that's very interesting, just to add in, is that everyone goes through it at different times.
Yep.
So some people start it in their late 30s, some people their early 30s. There is no right or wrong as to when you start the perimenopausal, menopausal journey. And I think that's part of the problem, is that it can't be defined of like 45 to 55, you may experience this, because it's like, God knows when it's going to start.
Yeah.
And so I think having that regular check-in is such an important thing, and learning to check into your body and ascertain how you feel, so that you've got a bit of an understanding when things start to change. It's like, oh, this is abnormal for me.
Yes.
This isn't how I feel.
No.
So what is going on that potentially could be causing this chaos?
Yeah, totally.
And I think, one of the things I've started doing, or I did it about a year ago, was there's an amazing friend of mine who's a photographer. Her name's Gina. And I run these wild women retreats.
She's amazing, Gina.
She is.
Yeah.
So what's been really exciting was I went to her and I said, look, would you take some photos? And she wasn't being a photographer at the time. I said, but will you take some photos of me, like naked ones, but not where you could see anything? I said, because what I want to start displaying and portraying to people is that you don't have to be a size 6.
No.
You can be older.
Yeah.
And still express yourself.
Yeah.
So she did a photo shoot with me, which was great fun, where you couldn't see anything, but I was naked or had something draped around me, because I wanted to show people that, yes, I've had 3 kids, I've got a belly, I've got wrinkles, but I can still embody my sexuality and my wildness and express it to the world in a creative way that can be beautiful.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
There's amazing renovations going on in this space, so hence the noise that's going on around us.
I think you're right what you're saying there about the time frame, and I also think that depending on what you've going on in your life, I think stress is a massive elevator to bring it on very quickly. Yeah. Huge elevator to bring it on very quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what I think happened with me.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, if when your cycle's normal, if you're stressed, it can change your cycle, can't it? So that you stop bleeding or your bleed's heavier. So it makes perfect sense that that's going to throw your system into maybe a slightly earlier menopausal journey.
Yeah.
And also, what I've noticed is my symptoms of menopause are much worse if I'm stressed. So the hot flushes, the only time I get the hot flushes are in the morning when I'm trying to get the kids ready for school. It's like, oh my God, because it's that anxiety, it's that stress of we've got a time, boom. And then and that makes it even worse, because then you can't cope with the stress of the situation because you're just on fire.
Yeah, that's right. And that is literally it. You are on, it's like having a blanket, a heated blanket coming up your body, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
People go, you okay? You've gone really like red, and you're. But I think I think also as well, children need to be educated around it of their parents knowing.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive, huge importance because my kids certainly didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know what was going on at the time. So
which makes it worse, doesn't
it does, because they think, oh, you're so grumpy all the time. And you know, it's funny, I've had conversations since, and one of my children said to me, Mum, you really changed through that period. And I did. I massively changed.
How old are your kids?
21 and nearly 16.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's another thing, you know, your family having that understanding as well of this isn't me. And sometimes you can't control that.
No.
You know, like bursting into tears. I mean, I can be I'm quite a sensitive Cyril anyway, but and I'm not ashamed of that. You know, people who know me, they will know I can be like that. I can get quite tearful. But there was a time that I'd get really I'd get you can hear there the fire's going out. There was a time that I would get very, very tearful. Over
Nothing.
things, and they go, "You're so sensitive," and then that would make me even more tearful.
And the rage, I think a lot of women experience a lot of rage that comes up, and I think part of this is suppressed emotions, a lifetime of being told we can't express emotions. And I think this is the same for men as well. You know, male suicide rates are very, very high because men and women are told emotions are bad, emotions make us weak. But actually, a healthy expression of emotion is so important, and a healthy expression of boundaries and where we're at. And I came up with this analogy recently when I was thinking, I was talking to someone about the menopause and this journey, and I said it feels like we're trees in the autumn. And it's like, you know, trees in the autumn, they've got their branches out filled with all these leaves, and they've got all these different pots of energy that they're expending because they can bring it in. And what I felt was happening with me was that as this change was happening, it was like going into winter where I felt I had to let go of all of this stuff I'm doing and come in and reassess and go, what actually do I now have the energy to focus on?
That's right.
Because I can't do what I was doing as a 20, 30, even early 40-year-old.
That's right. And I think as well, you can end up really getting frustrated with yourself because you can't do those things.
No.
And you're like, you know, as I said earlier on in the interview, the brain fog is real. You know,
it's like baby brain, isn't it? After you give birth, you
know, you ask my kids, they go, Mum, you repeat yourself. But most you love to repeat yourself. I laugh about it now. I just think, well, I'm embracing it now. That's it.
And that, I think that's part of it. If we can embrace the changes, but also take that time to grieve what we're letting go of instead of going,
I'm just rush it.
And, exactly.
And let's take a pill to fix it. You know, because it's like what you're saying. It's so true, Julia. It's another point of suppression, and if we don't let these things out, they will come back at another time. So it's so important to sit in that uncomfortableness. Because out of that can actually be some absolutely magical moments. And I can honestly say that.
I kind of feel like I'm going through a metamorphosis. And I feel like the best is actually yet to come. Like, I feel like all of my life has led up to this point where actually
it's a fun time.
It feels like that, and it's just growing and it's building, and all that self-doubt and all that stuff comes up so that you can actually put it to bed finally and go, you know what? It doesn't matter. You know? And I'd love to be an old lady who maybe, you know, I don't want to have purple hair because I don't want to dye my hair and put anything unnatural on it. But, you know, that mad, eccentric woman who's
that'll be a few of us.
Who's just free to express and be whoever I want to be.
That's right.
Without care. I mean, I've always kind of done that. I've always stuck my fingers up a little bit to society's norms. But having that, you know, I think it gives you potentially more courage.
And the courage to, this is me now.
because I think you have to go through that self-assessment to come out the other side
and
of
the
that.
vulnerability to actually say, you know, that's why I think it is so important to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Because again, it's about people not feeling alone in this, you know.
Yeah. And knowing that they're not going mad.
Yeah.
And they don't just need to be stuck on antidepressants.
No, that's right. And do you know what? I was the first to go through it through all of my friends. So one of my friends went through it at a similar time with me, who didn't realise at the time. But all my friends are now going through it, and we're similar ages. Some are older; they're going through it now. But yeah, I mean, you have to have that. It's important to have that network and that support system in place.
But if you look at it, you know, just we've got a few more minutes, but then we'll finish. But you know, society has created a state where women don't trust other women, and where women are separate from other women, and there isn't that sisterhood.
No.
You know, and I think it takes back to the burning times of the witches, where you know, women didn't trust other women because they could be shopped in for being a witch.
Right.
But
totally.
I think one of the only ways to get through this is with a sisterhood.
Have to.
Because men don't understand it, nor should they have to. Because they've got their own issues going on, and they need men to turn to.
It's not easy for them either to go through.
No.
You know what they're going through with their partner experiencing that. And I look back and I can really reflect on that and be quite honest now about that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
men need that support to help them through it, so they've got that venting space. Women need the support.
My partner, like.
Yeah. So, and then other men going, oh yeah, don't worry, mine's been through that. She'll get through it in a year or so.
Right,
and then they're like, oh good, this isn't forever.
No, that's right,
Because a lot of men at this time, and women, both go off and have affairs. Because they think that there's something wrong in their core relationship, when actually it isn't. It's just hormones changing.
I completely and 100% agree.
But also, if you're a woman and a man turns to you and said, "Oh, it's just your hormones," you just want to punch him.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. It's not the thing to say.
So often, my husband's been saying, "Oh, is it that time of the month? Oh, is it that?" And it's like, no. The problem is now that time of the month lasts for freaking ages, from day 20 to whenever my period decides to come. It could be 15 days, it could be 20 days of me just being in that premenstrual state that used to be 1 or 2 days.
So,
mental.
It is.
So what if you would give anyone advice who's gone through it, going through it, hasn't been through it, what would that advice be?
I would say, if you're gonna, before you embark on sort of going down the route of, and it's everybody's choice, some, as you said, people, but you know, like you do your hair mineral testing, I would do something like that, because that is so good, because it gives you a guidance as to where your body is at, what your body's lacking in, because you can literally be taking this and this, and as I said, you're not absorbing it, and I wasn't absorbing anything. So actually it was a complete waste of money. Now in that situation, personally, that's what I would go and do. I would invest in that. You know, regular checks on things like that. You know, look at your diet. Explain to people what you're feeling. Don't go through it alone, because I tried to get through it all on my own, and it just wasn't. It wasn't pleasant. So that to me, I think is really important. And you do come out the other side, and I feel like I'm 25 again now, so there you go.
Amazing. Oh, it's been lovely talking to you, and I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours.
So we'll have lots more again.
Exactly. So thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.